you all for being here. It's raining. This was a big place until everybody descended on it. Thank you for fitting in here. And I want to introduce the strongest, most protective patient man in South Carolina, Morgan Templeton, my husband, and the three best things that we ever did, McCabe, Khaki, and Hampton. Y'all want to come? You want to come out here, Stella? These are my nieces. That is Stella and my sister and brother-in-law. There's so many people in this room that are important and are lifting us on this journey. And the reason I'm running for governor is because I want my kids and your kids to have the same opportunities I had growing up in South Carolina. You know, South Carolina is one of the most conservative states in the nation. And we deserve a conservative outsider who'll clean house for us. We deserve somebody that will go in and will make sure that if you work hard and you do what's right, you can do anything you want. You can have anything that you want. I've done this before, and I'm ready to go back and do it again. You know, when Governor Haley recruited me out of the private sector, we brought over 7,000 jobs for South Carolina families. We also went 3 for 3 against the Obama administration. We banned sanctuary cities, and we actually shrunk government. We got rid of 1 in 4 insurance bureaucrats in one agency and saved $68 million in another one. You know, you can't do that without rattling some cages and some feathers, ruffling some feathers. And so when we fought for you, SLED asked me to get a concealed weapons permit and start carrying a gun as a civilian to protect myself. And I still carry today because we're not finished doing what's right for this state. We deserve more. In fact, right now in South Carolina, prisoners are jumping the fence. It is too politically incorrect to protect our history. It's easier to lay on the couch and collect welfare than to take one of these 60,000 open jobs in South Carolina. And idle hands lead to an opioid epidemic that's killed more than the Vietnam War. We're failing the kids who actually do want to work because our education system is dead last in the nation. And of course the roads to get those kids to school and work, I don't have to tell you here in Columbia, they're crumbling under our feet. South Carolinians used to be able to afford a john boat and a week at the beach. But now we can't afford the groceries or the electric bill. We're going in the wrong direction. But we can fix it. All of us together, we can fix it. Because I think we all want the same things. We want to be safe. We want to make a good living and keep it. And we want our kids and our grandkids to reach their God-given potential.
Amen.
Amen. Easy enough. Well, when I'm your governor, you're going to be safe. Because we're going to lift our law enforcement officers up. And criminals will be treated like criminals. You're going to keep your money, your hard-earned money, because we're going to cut income tax by 2%. So you choose what you do with your money. And your kids are going to reach their God-given potential because we're going to give the control back to parents. We're going to let teachers teach, the principals lead, and we're going to get the money to the children. Because our future deserves conservative leadership, conservative opportunities. It's going to take a conservative outsider who's not afraid, who doesn't owe anyone anything, who's not afraid to take on the good old boys and to fight for us. And I'll tell you, when I was here before and I was fighting for us, the AFL-CIO sued me, the good old boys fired me, the liberals filibustered me, and the media called me a buzzsaw. So, I'm ready.
You must have been doing something right.
I think that's right. You know what? When the enemies of conservative values are calling you names, you are winning. And there's a reason that President Trump interviewed me to be on his cabinet. His team called me a triple threat and asked me to actually bring jobs back to America. And we know why Governor Haley called me a fighter. We are in a fight. It is us against the entrenched bureaucrats. It's us against a career politician who's been in office for 30 years, who has another decade to go if we don't make a decision, a different decision. It's us against big government. So, present company accepted. So, let's put Columbia on notice. We're coming for them with a buzzsaw again. Hold on tight. We're going to cut spending. We're going to cut taxes. We're going to cut red tape. We're going to cut the corruption. I'm Catherine Templeton. I'm one of the first people Governor Nikki Haley asked to help her make it a great day in South Carolina. And today, we start a conservative revolution. We are all going to make it a great day in South Carolina again. I'm an ardent defender of the Second Amendment. In fact, the only reason that I have a concealed weapons permit is because it's the law. I don't like that we have to pay a fee to government to take care of what's our constitutional right, and our God-given right to defend our families.
So do you think that teachers should be able to, without having to go through the permit process, constitutional carry, that a teacher should be able to carry a weapon into a school if he or she so decides?
I think that a teacher who wants to carry a weapon into a school to protect herself, himself, and our children with the proper training should be allowed to do so.
The training means some kind of permit.
You have to know how to use a gun before you can protect our kids with the guns. So that's just responsible. And I don't think that any teacher would want to go into a classroom without training and knowing how to responsibly use a gun.
So they would have some kind of government process. They would go
if we have a teacher carry a gun into the school, it needs to be with permission and training.
You said during your remarks that you should let teachers teach.
Yes.
Some people have concerns that adding responsibility of carrying a gun might be too much. What would you say to that?
I think the important part about what I said is that it has to be if they want to. We need law enforcement and resource officers in our schools. We need to address mental health. We need to address the infrastructure in schools and what we can do to make our children more safe. But right now, the most immediate help would be to have someone in our schools who can defend our children when they're under attack. And the best case would be law enforcement and resource officers. But if a teacher wants, for safety, to be trained, then I think that he or she ought to be able to.
Would you support a ban on the sale of semi-automatic rifles to people under the age of 20?
No. I think it's a knee-jerk reaction.
Catherine, would it be difficult to cut taxes by 2% and also get the funding you want for crumbling infrastructure, for fixing prisons, stuff like that? How would you propose that then?
That's a great question. We have enough money. If we spend it on the things that we're supposed to spend it on. We need law enforcement. We need infrastructure. We need education. If we first spend it on the things we all pay in for, then we'll be fine. And in fact, right now, if we would just cut spending, there's a Christmas list that the legislature gets to after they've spent all they can spend, and then they just start spending down on their pork and their sweetheart deals. So, if we just got the legislators that have been there forever to stop self-dealing, we could save some money there.
In this tour that you're on today, you've been campaigning for several months before this. What brings about this tour specifically?
It's time for everybody in South Carolina to start focusing on the fact that in June, we've got to have a conservative outsider to lead the state into the future. We hear a lot of politics. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of back and forth. But South Carolinians know that they have a responsibility and they have a choice. And it's time for me to say, I'm right here, and I've got the buzzsaw. So let's go.
One of the biggest issues we've got with our funding is pension reform and what's going on with that. Where do you see that going versus all the other priorities we have in the state?
The most important thing that you just said was the word reform, pension reform. Last year, the governor signed into law a bill that raised the biggest tax raise in modern history, but did not reform the pension fund. The pension fund is a math equation that can be taken care of if you get the politics out of it in about 30 minutes from the financial planners. Businesses did it years ago. We can do it in South Carolina. It's not a problem as soon as you get the politicians out of it.
You said that it's easier to lay on a couch and collect a welfare check than it is to fill one of the 60,000
open jobs
vacancies. Are you saying that it's the folks on welfare, their fault that they don't have one of those 60,000? And I assume you're talking about the high-skilled jobs that, the manufacturing industry says they can't find people.
What I'm talking about is the fact that our unemployment rate is so low that you have to stop looking at that and start looking at the labor participation rate, the people who want to work. There's a place up in the upstate that has employed a lot of disabled young adults, and their company, I believe it was Walgreens, gave them a pass and said, okay, this is a great thing, this is a great outward facing thing. You know what's happened? those guys, those girls, the ladies and men who are up there now, their turnover rate is lower, their human resources costs are lower, their healthcare costs are lower, the attrition is lower, the absenteeism is lower, the productivity is on par, if not better, than the other Walgreens stores because they want to work. And that's what we have to have in South Carolina. So this isn't a fault or a no fault thing. We have created a situation in the society where it is less expensive to sit on the couch and collect entitlement programs than get up and go work and make something.
Would you support any legislation that tightens background checks for gun purchases or restricts access to assault rifles?
No.
Can you tell me why?
Because our Second Amendment is a constitutional right, and as we, as people react to different things, it's irresponsible. It's what government does all the time. They throw money at an emergency or they react to an emergency, and that is not the appropriate, responsible, or intelligent adult way to handle an emergency.
Should South Carolina put metal detectors at the entrances to its schools?
We got 1 minute, guys.
If that will help keep our children safe.
And Catherine, you mentioned enemies of conservative values. Were you referring to the media, or who are you referring to specifically?
Well, I think I said the unions. I know I said the unions, President Obama, the liberals, and the media in that particular example did call me a buzzsaw. So somebody asked me, where can we find more information about you? And I said, well, I would tell you to go Google buzzsaw in Templeton, but that would be a media hit. So go to my website.